We're going to start by removing the cylinder. So this is just a spare engine that I had laying around, so I thought I'd just break it out. So obviously you want to take the carburetor off. There'd be a couple 10mm bolts. Pull the carb off, set that aside. Then you're going to have to take off the cylinder head bolts. They'll be right down here. This motor doesn't have them on there, so I'm just going to pull the head. And there would normally be a gasket right here. Pulling off the cylinder. This thing's been sitting out. There we go. In order to get the piston off, you're going to have to remove the clips out of inside here. And I took one out so you could see what it looks like. It looks like that. So I already got the one out from this side. And so I'm going to get this clip out. Basically, you just kind of turn it. And it pulls right out. Like that. And it's advisable to put new clips in when you put a new piston back in. Now the pin should push right out. I mean, you don't want to be banging it, so you can see where it's coming out here. Like so. And then the piston comes off. Okay, for taking these side covers off, so this is the boogered up screw that was right here. I used a 7/32 drill and drilled out the head. So I got that off. And then get yourself a good set of JSI screwdrivers and bits. You'll need a number 2 bit. These are just bits I could put into my impact. Or I got this a driver set off Amazon. Every screw on this thing's been boogered up, so it's all part of what you're going to be dealing with probably. So you can see right here, this is where the shift cover connects with the shifting mechanism. So I'll finish taking the other screw out with the impact. You'll have to finagle the shift lever off the shift drum. I was having trouble with this little piece right here. It kind of rotates and it was just stuck, and it goes in this groove here. And so when you go to, that's what shifts. So this, it's not moving now because the shift cover is just all jacked up. This will move back and forth, moving the shift rod in and out. That Allen off there, here it is. So when you pull this clutch cover off, parts could fall out. Right in here, there's a little, I call it a throwout bearing. You can see it going in and out there. It's kind of stuck in there. But if I take the magnet off, so this thing's been sitting out in the rain, so it's stuck. But there it is right there. So, and it goes right in there. Okay, I like to take everything off the clutch side because when we end up taking the engine apart, we're going to take it apart from this orientation. So taking off the clutch side first, when you pull this pressure piece will come out of the clutch and there'll be some shims in there. Keep track of those shims and this piece, put it aside. Now on the clutch bolt, it's reverse thread, so you're going to turn it right to loosen. So instead of the lefty loosen, righty tighty, this one is righty loosen. Just like that. There's a washer. Get that. And then on this primary gear, it's lefty loosen. Okay. And the clutch will just pull off. There'll be, you can see the orientation of these gears. 1, 2, and this one has a little sleeve in there that is stuck in there. So it was either tightened down too much and kind of mushroomed out. But there's some little grooves in there that force the oil back in there. So this is going to be on there like that. It can't even go in there because this groove. But this is how you take it apart. We'll worry about getting it back together when it's time. So we're going to take all these clutch pieces, set them aside. And then this gear sometimes could be a real bitch to get off. Okay, so I just have like a plastic hammer. It's just kind of awkward on there. So if you just tap it, and it will start working its way off. Whatever you do, just don't tap any of this stuff with a metal hammer. This is just a soft hammer, okay? So let me clean this up and we'll get back to the other side. Okay, like I said before, I like to take the clutch off because when you take the engine apart, you want to take it apart in this orientation. I don't know if you could see this, but this thing really took a beating. So something came apart and was bouncing around in there. Now, in order to work on it, you could either use grab 2 small 2x4s and you'll stand them up on the side, and then you'll position the engine like that and work on it from here. Or, since I've done a few, I have a block. It's a 4x4 by 12, I believe, block, and holes are drilled in it in the orientation of all the shafts. So this gives a nice sturdy work piece. If you're a Hodaka Club member, in one of the back issues of the Resonator, there's instructions on how to build this. And so these are going to fall right in like that. And now this is how we'll work on the engine. Okay, for taking off the flywheel, you're going to need a 17. This turns regular lefty loosey. Now, if you didn't have an impact gun and you didn't want to use an impact gun and you wanted to use just a regular wrench, you would need some kind of flywheel holder. So this is one I have. This is Motion Pro, and it works in a few different ways. It has a couple studs here and some fingers there, so you could fit these in there. And if the bearings weren't frozen, this thing would spin real easy, and then you would get this to clamp like that, and then you would use your wrench to get this off. But since I have the impact, and when the bearings aren't frozen, if you have an impact, you could just hold it with your hand and take them off, take the nut off, and there's a washer in there, and then you take this off, set it aside, and then get the washer out of there. Okay, I had to get a couple small picks to get that washer out of there. I didn't want to, it was in there pretty good. I didn't want to try to take the flywheel off and have that washer booger up on their threads. Now this is really important. This you need a flywheel puller, this tool, to get the flywheel off. If you try to take it off and you can't pry it off, never try to pry it off or whatever. Get the proper tool. These are only like 10 or 12 bucks. You could get them at any motorcycle shop, or call Terry at Hodaka Parts and he probably has them. But they're really important. So what you want to do is, this is a left-handed thread on here. And you want to screw, these are really fine threads too, and you want to screw this as far down as you can. And then this center part's going to pull it. It's going to screw down. And then you could take a couple crescent wrenches, one on the bottom, one on the top. And we'll pull it right off. Just like that. And there, that's the flywheel, comes right off. And then this will come off like so, and there it is. Okay, and then this is the electronics. I don't know, this is a P motor. So this might have came out like a dirt squirt or something. There's no extra coils on there or something. But I could see again in here, somebody's already been in here, because these screws right here, they're really soft and they're boogered up. So we need to get these out. I'll do my best with the impact. This one looks like I'm gonna have to drill it out. So let me get on that. There's also a keyway, a Woodruff key right here that we'll get out. See if I can get it out with this. There we go. And magnet here. Got the Woodruff key. Looks like that. Looks like a little half moon thing. So you don't want to lose that. That's a lot of people think that that's what holds the flywheel on to the shaft, but that's just to provide a timing mark, basically, or a position to get the flywheel on. The flywheel is a tapered shaft. This is a tapered shaft on the crank, and this is tapered. So when you tighten it down, that's what holds it. The keyway in the slot, if you could see it right there, is just a position the flywheel on the shaft, on the crank. So let me, there's 2 screws. Let me pause the video and let me get on that. I'll probably, like I say, this one looks like I'm gonna have to drill it out. This one I might be able to get, so let me get on. Okay, you could see where this, I don't know if you could see that, it's just all boogered up, but I was able to get it. So then the electrical is going to just pull out like that. That was a rotten piece of rubber there. And this is your ignition system. Points are right here. Ignition coil, that's the condenser. And unfortunately, this engine is going to be pretty much toast. For a couple reasons. One is the little boss, like right here on this side, is broken, so there's no real way to attach this back on. And the other part is there's right here there should be a casting that comes up and it holds the shifter on, and it's real important to have that. Now if this was okay, these two are okay, this, you could have a machine shop if you really wanted to use this engine. You could have a good machine shop. They weld this up, weld a bunch on there, machine it to the right size. You'd have to have your case with you, but you need that for your bike to shift properly. It stands right up here and holds this shifter on, because the shifter is only held on by these, and without that it kind of flexes or something. But we're going to continue, and we'll just pretend that's good. Now for the countershaft sprocket, there's the nut, and then there's a washer that folds over the nut right here that keeps it from coming off. So you need to get a little screwdriver or something and kind of tap that down, And then I like to get a flat tip punch and get it all the way. Now you can see the advantages of having this stand is because you could do stuff like this and it's real sturdy. I've done many with the 2x4s, and you could build a, if you get the 2x4s in the right position, you could make like a box. Okay, so we'll get a crescent wrench on this. I can't remember what size it is. And then this could be another area where you'll need the holder. So right here you could, let's see, I'm gonna get it here. I gotta be able to get the wrench in there. Okay, so we're done with that. Pull this off and pull that off. Okay, Glenn. We want the engine to be in this orientation. There's a 11 screws around here. Now, again, it's very important to have the a JSI bit number 2 impact. If you don't have the impact, you could go old school with one of these. I don't know if you ever used one of these, but you get the bit in there, put it on in there, and then you're gonna whack it with a hammer, and that will loosen the screw. But I have a good success with this. By the way, this is that when we took the outer cover off, we had to drill that out. This is the screw that we had to drill out. Get rid of that. All right, so let's let me put this aside and we'll get the impact. And we'll, 1, 2. Now you could, you know, organize these however you want. All these, oops, missed this one. All these 11 are all the same length screw. Here comes the, you don't want to use a screwdriver or anything, so I'll just take my hammer, this plastic thing, give it a few taps, and we'll see where we get. If you put pressure here, I put my fingers here, put pressure on here, and I'm hitting it right here. Again, don't use a metal hammer, use something, this is plastic. So I'm pulling up on it here, and there's on the tabs, like for the engine mount here, pulling up. Okay, so now it's broke loose. The only thing that would be holding this together is a liquid gasket. So now that it's fully broke loose, I'm gonna put my fingers right here, and I'm gonna pull this top off, or this side case off. Just like that. Okay, so there's obviously, look at this baby, it's been sitting in some water. Bearings free. This one's solid. And then this is the gearbox. So now taking all this apart, inside here, one of the reasons why it's good to have it in this orientation, because there's a bunch of shifter balls in here. Okay. Also, if you're taking apart a clean engine, there's a shim right here. Okay. And there's a few shims, there's a shim down there. So these shims you want to keep orientated also where they might go. However you want to mark them, put them in a baggie, mark them or whatever. But this is on the left side of the crank. It goes against that bearing right there. So I'm going to pull off these gears will pull off one at a time, and they are orientated in a certain way. So let's pull this one off. Here's another shim on top of that gear. So we had the shim on top of the crank, and we had the shim on top of the gear. So I'm going to lay that gear in the same orientation, just write down how it came off. Now this right here is the kick mechanism, and a lot of times when you have a Hodaka that the kicker just feels like it's not grabbing, it's because of right here. So I'm going to pull this gear off. There's a small shim washer on there. I'm going to put that one over here, and you'll see, you get in there, there's a little I'm going to call them ball bearings, but they're oblong right here, and they'll fall out. So I'm going to grab them. There's 1, 2, there's 5. They kind of look like that one that's in the clutch, but they're smaller. So I'm going to put these right here. And what happens is when you kick the bike, this will spin. Whoops, whoops. Let me grab that. That's one of those little ball bearings from right here. Let me grab a little cup. Old gas cap will work. Put that there. Anyways, so when this spins, these are like on little eccentrics, and they spread out, and then they grab the kick basket thing here. I'm going to finish taking these gears off, and so you can see the holes here where there's a ball bearing in there. This ball bearing came out of there. All right, so we're going to pull this off carefully. I'm going to set it. Now there's no other shims in here, but there is a raised, you can see the top part has a little raise there. So I'm going to put that just like it came off. Take the next one out carefully. As long as the ball bearings all fall down in here, it's okay. Again, the raised goes up. Take this last one off. That one. And then this whole shaft is going to come out. Oops. I'm going to grab these. Put them all right there. This one didn't fail. And there's the last gear. There's one more ball. Now this is the, I don't know, some people call it the Christmas tree. So it goes right down in there. That's where all this is solid. So that's going to go right there. And then there's one more shim that went on the bottom of this when this went in. Okay. So I'll put that right there. I'll leave that right on there. However you want to organize it is fine. And then we'll take this this kick shaft out. Okay. And then there's another shim that goes on the bottom of that. So that one was right there. Now, see if we can get this crank out. Since this thing is pretty rusty, I'm going to take the hammer. And that's pretty bad. I don't know if I would, who knows, it maybe could be saved. I would have to ask one of the experts like Hodaka Dave, Greg at Californiahodaka, or somebody. So I'll save it and just see, but that's the whole complete engine apart. And let me clean up some of this, and then we'll discuss the bearings and stuff. Okay, now that we have all the innards out of the engine, this will be the left side. Bike's facing that way, straight ahead, left side, right side. We'll need to pull the seals out. There's a seal here, a seal here, and that's it. Now, and there's a camshaft still here, and I forgot when I took the camshaft out. There's also a collar in there, so rid of that. Now I would use a seal puller to work these out. These things are pretty corroded in here. I mean, I would clean all this around here, get them all. There's a bunch of rust around this one. That one's probably in there pretty good. So work on getting the seals out. Now this seal right here I think it's pushed in too far. Okay, so this could be a common, this could be an issue. What happened with this is they put a new seal in, and what happens is this little hole right here, this is where your premix oil and stuff gets down, and that's what lubricates this bearing. Far, it could be impeding oil from getting down into the bearing. I think that oil seal would normally be flush here. I can see it's kind of smashed in there. So when they put this in there, they smash it in way too far, because I could see it smashed up against the bearing like that. So it would be flush here, or maybe even sticking up just a little, depending on the width of your seal. I can't remember what the width is. If you get your bearings and seals from like Terry at Hodaka Parts Inc., you'll get the whole set: bearings, their proper seals, and you just have to make sure that this seal isn't down in so far. We could discuss that later on when we assemble an engine. So, and then as far as the bearings are concerned, there's one clip on this bearing. You'll need some snap ring pliers. Pull this this one out. Looks like that. And then that's it. The bearings you can just tap out and get the seals, all the seals out, the bearings out. And then I think I'm going to go to my storage unit tomorrow and get a clean engine to look at for when we show you how to put this back together. So that's pretty much all there is to taking the complete engine apart. So thanks for watching.